Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Marco, for the nice introduction, because, you know, I have to go on, and I will start with these slides. And I'm very happy because here in this room there are people that are working in the guideline office. One is our chairman, Johan Palau, and the second one is the previous speakers. So I think they should, look at my slides and maybe change a little bit the guidance. So this is the definition the EU guideline 2016 gives for high-risk non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. And this is published by Babjuk and cohort. And the therapy, here is the therapy, according to the guidelines, is intravesical full-dose BCG instillation for 1-3 years, induction plus 3 weekly, blah, 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 is indicated. Okay? Good. And there's something wrong. Excuse me? No? Here. This is a review on the Bladder Cancer, International Bladder Cancer Group. I was the leader of this publication. However, I was not so attentive. And our conclusion was that for high-risk disease, we can recommend BCG induction plus maintenance. And I was not so attentive because I don't think it's really true that BCG alone is the best possible adjuvant treatment for high-risk VCC of the bladder. And my question is there any other drug or technology administered alone or in combination that can achieve better results in recurrence rate, disease-free interval, and progression? Because I agree 100% with Marco saying that progression is the most important issue here in high-risk VCC other than BCG. So I think yes, and I start with this slide. This slide is coming from Savino Pistazzi. He published in Cancer Research 97 that electromotive delivery of mitomycin C into human bladder is effective because EMDA enhances the administration of mitomycin C into viable bladder or tissue and reduces the variability in drug delivery rates. And these are the clinical experience, of course, for a question of time, I didn't put all this in the trial. But some trials, phase 2 and phase 3 trials, has been published. This is the technology. This is the old physionizer and catheter for EMDA. This is the new one. They produced a new catheter and a new technology. And this is the paper I was expecting Marco to present, but fortunately not, he didn't. So this is a striking paper published in 2006, and I was not attentive enough when I just published my article and the guidelines, because this paper is saying that if you give sequential BCG and electromotive mitomycin C, and you compare this sequential administration versus BCG alone in high-risk tumors, the first group of patients receiving sequential has better results. This is, you can read it, 86 patients receiving BCG alone, 87 patients BCG plus mitomycin with EMDA was a randomized prospective study. Okay? Patients received maintenance. 212 patients were randomized. This is stage, sex, median age, and so on. PT1G3 tumor were present, and as you can see here. Look at this result. First of all, the median follow-up was 88 months, which is really good, because usually we are talking about 2-3 years follow-up in this kind of trials. But you know, 88 months is a very good follow-up period. So Savino look at the disease-free interval, which was 69 months for the sequential group versus 21 months in the BCG. The difference was statistically significant. How about recurrence rate? 42 versus 58, significant. Progression, 9.3 versus 22%. We have to remember, progression is very important in this patient. Overall mortality, 21.5 versus 32. And disease-specific mortality, 5.6 versus 16.2. Toxicity was not so important. So the conclusion is that sequential administration of BCG and mitomycin C with MDA determined a lower recurrence rate, longer disease-free interval, and reduced progression compared to BCG alone. And this translated in a better overall mortality and higher disease-specific mortality. And the interpretation, which is interesting, of the author is that BCG-induced inflammation might increase the permeability of bladder mucosa such that mitomycin C can reach the target tissue more easily and exert its anti-cancer effect. I think it's a good comment. So these are my comments. In high-risk non-muscle invasive bladder cancer, sequential therapy with BCG plus mitomycin C with EMDA gives the best results in terms of recurrence, progression, and survival. So it's not true that BCG is the best. And this is a comment to the article of Savino Di Stasi appeared in the Journal of Urology by James Monti, say that electromotive therapy at first glance seems a gimmick, but I do not think this study should be discounted. An early study combining BCG and mitomycin has not been particularly impressive, and the study should be replicated. So what happens in these 10 years? 2006, 2016, not much. There was no randomized prospective studies. And why? One possible explanation is probably the company was not so active at that time and did not sponsor the result in an effective way. This could be. Maybe urologists did not trust the result. Or, and I think it's very true, it takes a long time to convince urologists to adopt as a standard a new therapy or new technology, even if it's very good results are reported in prospective randomized trials. And then we know this working within the ORTC. We published randomized trial about early installation and only few centers were using. And the other thing, the last thing, was performing prospective randomized trial is expensive and demanding. So my issue is, when we have a randomized trial showing you that the results are so striking compared to BCG, what do we need again? Do we need another one to confirm? Do we need a standard clinical practice? So the result obtained in this prospective study, I think, should be replicable in a standard practice. This is a very important statement, we know. And in 2009, Tim O'Brien introduced at the Guy Hospital in London a sequential BCG MDA mitomycin as a standard induction regimen in high-risk non-muscle invasive cancer. And this is the paper they published last year, a few months ago, in the Journal of Urology. They treated 107 patients with high-risk bladder cancer, and the treatment schedule was the Savino Di Stasi schedule. And these are the results. Complete response rate, 87%, with 86% and 93% of patients remaining disease-free at 1 and 2 years respectively. Progression rate, 3% at 2 years. Yes, 2 years not so long, but still 3%. Tolerability was okay, and the conclusion was that this is the first study to confirm the previously published result by Di Stasi et al. The response rate and disease-free interval reported now exceeds that seen previously. So he was really very well impressed. This is another series. This is a personal communication. You cannot find it in the literature. And Dr. Bober talked to me yesterday. We get together, and he started in 2015. He has 58 patients with high-risk PCC, and the mean follow-up is 15 months. All patients received sequential as primary approach, and the recurrence-free rate is 92%. 2 patients experienced blistering under the EMDA, and the progression rate was 0. So, what happened? That the German guidelines on bladder cancer, and this is something that was done during the Congress in Leipzig in 2016, they state that a high-grade, non-muscle invasive bladder cancer, EMDA mitomycin C is optional, and sequential BCG EMDA mitomycin C is rated as an alternative to be at least, I will call it that, at least to BCG alone. How about cost? Because, you know, one of the major issues is also cost, because if we add to BCG mitomycin C and the technology, it does cost much more. And this is a nice study in Cancer 2014 from Bakir and co-worker. And they did the study with the objective to compare the cost and benefit of these 2 treatments by performing a 5 years and 10-year cost-effective effectiveness study. They used a Markov model method, and this are what they did. The cost included the medical cost, the drug cost, and the hospital cost. And the results of this nice, well-conducted study, very difficult to interpret because, you know, it's a kind of economical part which is difficult. But, you know, still, sequential therapy is associated with higher material initial cost for induction and maintenance. However, considering the recurrence rate, progression, and survival at 5 and 10 years, sequential therapy resulted in a cost-effective treatment for patients with high-risk, non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. So, in my mind, sequential is better than BCG alone. First thing. Okay, I will not go through the Synergo system. I will show you the same result. This is the same study Marco produced, and I will go to the conclusion. The conclusion is that sequential therapy can be considered the new standard for the treatment of high-risk non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. Hyperthermia is also effective and at least equivalent to BCG, and the guideline office should consider this new data and include it in future direction for non-muscle invasive bladder cancer patients. Thank you for your attention. And,